and welcome to We Love SEO. This is the first session that we're talking today, and this will be, let's start with the key takeaways, the best SEO advice. So with me today, I have Andrea Moro, Crystal Carter, and Dani Leitner. Please feel free to say hello in the chat, and we'll get started in just a minute. We'll give everyone maybe a minute or so to get settled, and then we'll get going. So before we start, just a few quick notes. There will be a replay. You'll receive it in a few days if you're signed up. So if you're here, you will definitely receive it. Don't hesitate to ask questions. There is a question section at the bottom right of your screen, and we'll get to them at the end. So that's the key information. Hey, it's good to see everybody.
Very international.
Yeah, this will be great.
Quite a lot of people. Keep coming, guys.
Hey, wow.
From Vienna.
Yeah.
So I'm Rebecca Brobel. I'm the product marketing manager at Oncrawl, and I'm really excited to be joined today by Crystal, by Dani, and by Andrea for this panel discussion about the best SEO advice. Let's get started. Can you guys tell me a little bit about where you're coming from and your perspective on SEO?
Yes, I'll start just because I'm first on the picture. So my name is Crystal Carter. I am the head of SEO communications at Wix Studio. I do lots of comms work. So in that work, I like to say that I communicate the value of Wix and Wix Studio to SEOs, and I communicate the value of SEO to users on Wix and Wix Studio. And that's a job that allows me to do cool things like talk to folks on webinars. We do a podcast. We have our own webinars. I write articles. I go to conferences and lots of things like that. And I also do SEO. So I work on SEO on our projects, and I get very involved with projects across the domain, where I'm just a busybody and say, oh, we should be doing this. And they go, no one asked you. And I go, but we should. And so that's a lot of fun. And I get to talk to people about the different SEO things that I like.
Cool. And that means that you will definitely have some opinions on what the best SEO advice is, whether you've gotten it or whether you're the one giving it.
Hopefully.
Dani, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm Dani Leitner. I'm living in Switzerland. I'm originally from Austria. I'm an independent SEO consultant, and I'm specialized in the German market. So I'm optimizing websites for the DACH area, like we say. It's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And yeah, I'm actually originally coming from IT project management. Then I said I will never ever have something to do with computers again. And I started civil engineering. And then I found out that's not my passion. And I got somehow into SEO, and that's where I found my passion, actually.
Great.
Well, I guess I'm going to be the last.
But not least.
But not least, yes. Cool. Well, okay. I'm Andrea. I'm working as a global head technical SEO in L'Oreal for nearly 3 years. What can I say about myself? It's just, I tend to define myself as a Latin lover, as Latin SEO lover, in fact, just due to my strong connection with my home country, which is Italy, where I was born, and I lived for a little while before relocating elsewhere. I also a world traveler, so I lived in different countries. 4 are the biggest, in fact, including Russia, France, and UK, where I have fully developed and committed myself to technical SEO and data science. On a day-to-day basis, obviously, because of my job title, I'm just advocating doing everything that is connected to SEO, and particularly to technical SEO side of the story. Other little bits about myself: I like hiking and cooking, not necessarily in the same order. Well, you decide, but this is what I definitely like doing.
Great. So let's get started. What is the best SEO advice that you'd like to share?
Still standing with me? Well, okay, I guess that I can continue. I think that the best SEO advice, probably not necessarily SEO strictly advice, is just be curious and inquisitive, always, right? So curiosity and inquisitiveness are essential qualities for personal and professional growth. It doesn't really matter the context, and that is why I was saying it's not really SEO related as advice here. So it doesn't really matter what you are doing. There is always space for questions. And I do remember myself back in time when I started, working to the IT industry, which is literally in 1996. So I had, colleagues of mine at the time that, were just saying, if you don't know something, ask. Don't be afraid of asking something. Because if you ask, you are going to get an answer. That's the worst case, that can happen. Somebody will be answering. If it's going to be the right answer or the wrong answer, well, you decide. You will be taking your opinion and so on and so forth. But, embracing curiosity and inclusiveness, in my opinion, is a really good driver for continuous learning and development. And, that can only foster, stronger relationship, great communication skills and all the kind of things. So don't be shy. Ask if you don't know.
That seems like something that's really appropriate to SEO for me. Because things change or don't change, but because web technologies change, that curiosity is really what has served me the most in an SEO related field. Is that something you would agree with, Crystal? You're nodding there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you have to be somebody who wants to go, why is that like that? Why are we ranking for this keyword? Why is this part of the website doing this strange thing that I've not seen before? What is this new technology? What is this new way of setting up a sitemap? Or, what is this new feature on this tool that I use all the time? You have to be the kind of person who is never satisfied with just things sitting the way they are. You want to see what the next thing is, and that will help you move your website forward, move your business forward when you're working through SEO. Absolutely agree.
So what would be the best advice that you'd like to give?
So I think my best advice, it's similar to Andrea, like this. I think this is something that is just a sort of general overall one, but I think that people need to be working smarter and not harder. I think a lot of SEO in the last few years has been, and certainly when I started doing SEO, it was very manual and was very lots of copying and pasting and writing meta descriptions by hand and things like that. And we have so many tools to allow us to work much smarter and move much faster in our work now. If we think about Wix Studio, we built in AI meta description generators in there, and of course, not maybe you want to dedicate some time to your money pages. Maybe there's a couple of pages that are super competitive and you're like, no, I actually need to get in here by hand. And of course you can get in and do that, but not every page needs that kind of attention. And I think that it's really important that I meet some SEOs that are resistant to it. They're like, I don't want to use AI. And I'm like, why? I go to conferences and I say, who here is using AI? And literally everybody raises their hand. So if you're that person who's got your hand down, you're in the minority at this point. And I think that we have so many tools, and really, from that curiosity point, you should be curious about how can these tools make you work smarter? How can they help you to move quicker? How can they help you to be more efficient? Because I think that whole doing everything manually all the time, that I think that's over. We have to move forward, and we have to move smart.
What I think is really interesting about that is that personally, most of the sites I've worked on have been really small. I tend to work in SaaS. And even if you have a 300-page site, that is absolutely true. You can save so much time, even if you're not using AI, but if you're using technical elements to structure your site and to repeat what you're able to do across all of your pages. Even 300 pages is way too much to do everything by hand.
Yes.
And Dani, what about you?
I really like the directions the advices are going to help other SEOs. I really, my advice is to go out there and talk to other SEOs, because we can learn so much from each other. I just started 2 months ago the SEO office hours in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And my biggest takeaway is that from every session, I learn a lot from other people and the answers and the ideas other SEOs have. And that's just, I think we are a cool industry, and you should get out there and connect.
I also have found really interesting the different problems that other SEOs have. So sometimes that helps me anticipate problems that I haven't seen before and that I might see tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's right.
totally. And I think also like with, and I know we're only a couple of minutes in and I've mentioned AI twice, but with all the AI that's going on, like it's so good to talk to other people because there's so many different AI tools and there's so many different ways to use it. And every time I talk to someone about how they're using AI, I'm always like, I have no idea. I did not know you could do that. And people are like, oh, I've got this Airtable and it does this and it pulls that in. And I'm like, that's fully blown my mind. So absolutely, it's that space is moving so fast and it's so important to how we make our work better. That totally chatting to people is really important.
And at some point, I will be start talking even to AI itself, huh?
Absolutely. If you had to prioritize a single SEO strategy that could deliver long-term growth, what would that be?
Well, I'm going to take it, if you don't mind. I mean,
sure.
I guess that, I will be coming a bit biased over here, just because of my technical SEO exposure, but I will be providing also a rationale for what I'm going to say right now. So, of course, the answer is going to be, to me, just prioritize technical SEO things and innovation and pretty much going on the same kind of line of what Crystal just said, right? Think about everything that can make things smarter and better, right? But, when it comes into technical SEO particularly, if you really think about SEO and the web development, how it has evolved over the past 20 years, pretty much, surely we have had lots of innovations, transitioning, for example, from static HTML websites to websites where there was, integration of JavaScript-driven things and client-side rendering, all the kind of things. But, if we really stop by 1 single second to think about what has changed and what has not, suddenly you will be seeing that the basic principle of HTML and how you have to combine them rarely change it, right? So that's why I'm saying that today, if I have to prioritize something, to me is just looking in perspective, like a kind of a big pyramid and thinking how you can build up things. So surely you need to have a great foundation, as in technical SEO. Then you have to start looking about your content, how you can make it better, nicer, surely, supported by AI-driven technology today. And last but not least, thinking about how promoting your content, because, every great website, if you have that, but, nobody knows about it, well, probably it's going to be a shame and not really effective for the job that we've been doing.
What do you think about that, Dani? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I think technical SEO is really important, and I always say that we have people in the SEO, like normally not the people you talk to like this, but we have some that come really for marketing and they are afraid to go into the code. And I think that's something you really need to overcome because it's part of SEO. But that's not my tip. If I would prioritize one SEO strategy, it wouldn't be technical, to be honest. It would be building topical authority, because I think with showing your expertise, and it's not just for me a content strategy, it's going out there, talking about what you best know about your business, getting also not just on your website, but on other websites to show your know-how and everything. And this, for me, builds brands and really shows your expertise. And I would, if I would go for a long-term growth strategy, I would go for that.
If I may, sorry, Crystal, just, replicating a bit. I think that, it's not a matter of competing each other today. Today, SEO in the real, in the current economical landscape, I would say, or technological landscape, has become so wide, so complex. So it's not really competing, not really learning and mastering each other discipline. And that is why probably it has become so important being heavily specialized and just, doing like I've been doing, technical SEO and data science, all the kind of things, and then having great marketers that really know how to interact and communicate with the people, writing things, all the kind of things, and then great outreacher that really knows how to interact with the other people to make and drive people to your website. And this does not necessarily encompasses link building as we were used to know back in time, but just doing other things like outreaching via different media channels, which clearly contribute to the omni strategy that you need to absolutely have today if you want to be successful into the SEO and into digital marketing as in general.
Totally. That omni-channel point is really, really important. And I think that there's so many touch points that people have with media these days. And there's so, people don't just go to Google. They go to lots of different places to get information. People use multiple search engines. People use TikTok, people use YouTube. Like, if I just think of like where I want to find a video, if I would like to see a video of something, there's like 3 or 4 platforms that I have apps for on my phone that I would look for them. So that omni-channel thing, if you want to cut through, you can't just post one blog and that's it. You have to connect with people on multiple touch points so that you'll hit them at some point. And maybe they'll land on the blog, sure, but you need to like connect with them on lots of different ways. I think if I were to expand into my SEO strategy, it will come as no surprise. I've been talking recently about LLM optimization for brand visibility. I've written an article on this recently. I don't know if I'm okay to share. If that's
please do share.
Okay, so I'll share that in the chat. And that is. And the thing that's interesting about it is, if we're trying to be visible, be referenced in ChatGPT or Gemini or Meta's AI or any of those tools, you bring in all of the things that everyone's discussed already. So your technical SEO needs to be good so that your website is crawlable, because these LLM search engines have their own crawlers. And also the ones that are attached to search engines like Bing, Bing's Copilot or ChatGPT Premium with their search tool. They have their own search engine behind them, so you need to be able to, a genuine search engine. So you need to make sure that they're there. Somebody asked about how you measure it. You can see the traffic from GA4. The measuring, you have to, that's different. We're still getting there. We don't have that metric of like how many people have asked about your brand, but you can see things in Google Trends, for instance. It will tell you things like that. But yeah, so your technical SEO stuff will help you to be in the search engine. The link building that Dani was talking about should be prioritizing content, prioritizing getting links in sources of LLM training. So for instance, OpenAI has direct content partnerships with Time, News Corp, Vox, Hearst. You should be thinking about making sure that you're present in those places. Dani was also talking about, spreading around where you are. That helps build up your topical authority. That helps build your entity in the knowledge graph. The knowledge graph, which is like verifiable in Wikipedia. Wikipedia has trained all of those LLMs. 660, or it's like 66 million pages of copyright-free verified information. They're all trained on Wikipedia. So you're making your entity strong will also make you perform well in LLMs. And I think that's a long-term thing. At the moment, the traffic is still it's good, but it's still relatively small compared to Google. But if you start taking steps to make sure that your brand is good and is accurate in those tools, then I think you'll see long-term gains.
I think that's. Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, sorry, and it's just to connect to what Krista just said, right? She clearly just lay on the table and confirm what I was saying about technical infrastructure, right? The fact that we now have this great opportunity sitting just under our nose in terms of AI traffic, all the kind of things, really requires us as a digital marketer, as a SEO, technical SEO person, really ensuring that all our structured data is going to be correct, is going to be implemented, readable, and so on and so forth. And guess what? Structured data sits into the technical SEO side of the story. So again, we are going back into my pyramid example that I was bringing before. That is the foundation. You have it right. You have done, I won't say half of the job, but nearly there.
Who has given you the best SEO advice that you've ever received? Which might not be the same SEO advice that you'd give somebody else.
I'll jump in and start with people who really inspired me across my SEO journey. The first one being Cindy Crum.
Yes, that was my joker in case nobody had anything to say. Cindy has.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with Cindy Crum. Cindy Crum's like, I've just dropped this video. It's an hour of me talking, and I'm like, yay, fantastic. I love it. And she literally wrote the book on mobile SEO. I started paying attention to a lot of what she was saying during like Mobile Get In. Yeah. And all of that. And she's fantastic. And she, we've been talking about curiosity. She is so curious about what's going on, and she will do a full deep dive. And I highly recommend literally listening to anything Cindy Crum has to say, because it's always really interesting and well researched, and just really passionate. So shout out to Cindy Crum. Love Cindy Crum. And also Lily Ray. We've talked about, topical authority and all of that. She's got some fantastic things to say about EEAT, and she was sort of leading the charge on that. And that is, really important to topical authority and building trust and all of that sort of stuff. And if I could shout out one more, I'd probably say Chima Meje. Like, she has such passion when she's speaking, and she really knows how to connect with an audience, particularly from her social stuff, which I think isn't exactly not from exactly SEO, but so important to your SEO foundation. So yeah, those three folks inspire me all the time, and they give good advice, generally speaking. So
I am on the same kind of philosophy of Crystal. So, I mean, it's not just a matter of who has gave the best SEO advice, because it's clearly a tough question to answer. I mean, at least, with me, there are so many people that I'm talking to, either online, offline. So it's really nearly impossible, unless you're not going to take a note for every single person that says something that is useful, to just say who has gave the best advice, right? So going back to what I said, it's just, nearly say who was the best influencer, the people that really had a significant influence on myself. And in that respect, I think that I have two names that really, can pop up to my mind. One is unfortunately the already gone Bill Zdusky, which I used to call the patent surgeon, and because it was always great in deep diving into the kind of things, and it's just reading in between the line, explaining things that sometimes were looking extremely complex in a very easy way, kind of, but at least just give you the motivation to continue to stay into the field, and so on and so forth. And the other one, not because I have any commercial relationship with him at all, but is certainly Ren Fiskin, that clearly I guess that most of the people working into the SEO industry today knows, for his two companies that he has set it up. And I really loved him because of his capacity of just communicating well and telling people, in fact, surfacing certain kind of complex things, even himself, with simplicity, and being kind of friendly with everybody, but not being ashamed to say no or stay stronger when it was required. So that's the two kind of person that I really would like to remember. Yeah.
Can you stick their names in the chat, just in case anyone's not familiar with them? And Dani, who would you say?
For me, it's actually a really personal story. The first thing I was thinking about, I learned SEO in the agency where I started working in Innsbruck. And there I had the founder of the agency as my mentor. And he really, he had to give me the advice more than once, but we were working on that. And it was to think of the business of your client and really think of where do they actually make money, and prioritize your SEO activities to what really brings business to your client. And that's, I think, something really important. He always said, we want that our clients make more money so they can spend more on us, which is really true. And it took a while, but I had once a client that I wrote him an email that if he could confirm me, because he wanted to make for a keyword a blog post, and I wanted to make a service page. And I told him, can you please confirm me that you don't want to make money with this keyword? Then he can make a blog post. We did what I wanted to do. We did the service page then. But
did you make money?
I think it's really important. Because I think the clients are not aware always about that. Like, if they say like, no, let's make a blog post and we rank high, and you're just like, that's not helpful at all for your business. Do you know that?
I think having that internal mentorship is so important. I worked alongside Thomas Haynes for a good while when I was working agency side, and I used to call him my SEO seafood. So yeah, and I think like mentorship's really important for SEO, because like you have a lot of questions. It's very, it's very hands-on. You have to do SEO. You can't just do a course.
Yeah.
You have to do SEO. So that mentorship is really important. And shout out to the Women in Tech SEO group for their like regular mentorship opportunities.
Is good SEO always good SEO regardless of what's new on Google? So, there are algorithm updates, there are SERP changes, there are new technologies and websites. So is sort of good SEO something that lasts over time, or is it something that'll change? So if we have this discussion in a few years, are we going to have the same answers, or is it going to be completely different?
Yes.
That's after the debate.
I hope we will have.
Yeah, I think like what was good SEO 15 years ago, like doesn't necessarily touch the sites now. Like, back in the day, like you could stuff keywords, like, because you had to, because it didn't understand the things, now we have like, NLP and, BERT and all of these different things that understand our content much better. I think also it's interesting you've got good SEO in quotation marks, because I've definitely across my career seen websites that did not have good SEO that were doing great. And like, and I'm over here like slugging my guts out, like getting all the, best practices in there, and they're just ranking. And I'm like, but they didn't do anything. And or nothing that, that I could see. And so sometimes it's what is good, it's why people have it depends in it. Sometimes it's a bit of an art and a science, trying to get things moving forward. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah. Would you agree, Dani? I can't see you, so if you're nodding,
Yeah.
that doesn't really count.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that my internet connection is so bad. I was afraid it would be, because I'm in London at the moment and I can control the internet of the apartment. Yeah, I actually think if we say good SEO that we do nowadays, it's brand building, it's getting your technical setup right, and all of this stuff are independent of algorithm updates, of SERP changes, of SERP features. It's just getting your homework done and having a good website, communicating your brand, your values, your services. And that will be also in 10 years important. If it's on a website or a metaverse or an LLM, I don't care. It will still be important.
Do you agree, Andrea?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes. At the end of the day, yes. I think that doing good SEO is good, right? I mean, let me just try to elaborate. It really depends from what good means, because of course then people might have different kind of perceptions, and as much as I truly respect everybody's opinions and all the kind of things, it really depends on what you are thinking that good is good. So, but let's try to put it simple, and let's try to go back to one of the most well-known mantra, and this is not just because I want to quote Google, because as much as I have been doing, and to make Google pleasant, it's not a matter of being Google anymore over here, or taking into consideration Google. Here is really a matter of thinking about our users, because those are the person that we are dealing with at the end of the day. Those are the people that we have to get consuming our website, right? So, and then suddenly all in my mind, it goes back into what you're going to do onto the website. Sometimes I do see a website with big images, heavy content, difficult to load, page that lasts a second, annoying pop-ups here and there, and so on and so forth, right? So really think about the user experience at the end of the day, right? So would you love to land into a page where there is 101 pop-up that just comes by, cookie, banner, sign up to my newsletter, and then that takes 2 minutes and a half just to load, and then all the kind of things. So that's the kind of things that your inner voice probably would say, well, maybe that as a user, I do not really like that kind of thing. So if you don't like, why you would like to serve that kind of thing? So doing good SEO, it means respecting certain kind of practices that really goes hands in hands with the users and with the well, what I would say with it, just with people respect, right? So if you do it good SEO, you're doing it right.
That makes sense. This is sort of the same type of question. So we talked a lot about advice like curiosity, exploration, listening to other people. Those are things that are fairly endurant. Is that sufficient for SEO in the future, or do you think we're going to have to pay more attention to something different?
I think that SEOs are also going to need to be more, and I think Andrea mentioned omnichannel. I think SEOs need to be a bit less siloed in the future, because we have so many different channels that impact SEO. And in order for SEO to do well, it should also impact other channels. So you have some websites where most of their traffic comes from social, most of their traffic comes from paid, most of their traffic comes from, something that's not organic. It doesn't mean that the SEO doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that organic isn't important, but it does mean that if you are the SEO for that team, and if you're supporting that website, then you need to make sure that you understand which campaigns are running. And, on whatever channel, let's say there's a big television campaign that's going, well, where are those people going to land? How can you manage that funnel via the website? And how can you leverage that television campaign so that you get organic gains? If they're sponsoring a marathon somewhere, that's offline, that's an in-person thing, but how are you helping that brand to leverage all that visibility into organic gains for the brand? So SEOs, I think previously, we have webmaster tools and things, and you sort of feel like you're the website mechanic, but really it should be more like the engine for digital for digital visibility. And I think also the way that the funnel is changing, where the SEOs are going to be really, really important for bottom of the funnel. So if we think about LLMs and that experience, very often, and I know people who are saying that they have clients who are like, we found you via ChatGPT, we found you ChatGPT told me that you guys were great. And I found businesses and teams that I'd never heard of via some of these LLMs. So what happens there is they do all of that top of funnel discovery in a separate channel. And previously, they would have done a lot of that in your blogs and different things or whatever. And they're doing lots of that top of funnel stuff in this other channel. So then they need to make sure that by the time they get to the website, that there's reduced friction, that it all makes sense, that it aligns with those things. So I think SEOs are also going to need to be thinking about being more bottom of the funnel and less just traffic for traffic's sake, more about converting that final visit when people get there. Even if you think about Google is now talking about having lots of the shopping stuff on Google and then just buy now from there. So if you think from an e-commerce point of view, it definitely goes like that. And there's no reason why you can't see similar things. And we do see similar things in Google Business Profile. So I think SEOs need to be less siloed and more focused on things that actually deliver value, closing the deal, getting the customer to finally sign up when they get to the sort of lower stages of the funnel.
That sounds to me like a lot of echo what Dani had said earlier.
I also think it's not just for the future. I think we should already start now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as well, with the LLMs, I think the customer journey will get shorter. So like the first initial phase where you have to find out what's going on, what is this, what are these features, what is the important feature of something, you will maybe ask ChatGPT or something else, who knows what's there in 2 years. And you will just get faster to a knowledge where you can actually already go to service pages, product pages and everything, because you already understand what's written there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Andrea, you work for a brand that's already really well known.
Yeah, I definitely have worked with several brands, Microsoft, Burberry, AXA, well, L'Oreal today is the company I'm working for, so clearly I had lots of exposure, right? And I totally agree with what Crystal said, silos, it's definitely a word that has to be banned in 2025 and moving forward, because, it's not anymore a matter of driving traffic. Yeah, great, everybody wants traffic, and, many companies out there is going to be in having traffic as the KPI, the major KPIs. Great. But then once you got your website, your user landing on the website, what's next? What is going to be the next important things, right? So it's not anymore thinking about SEO as in, okay, I've done my job, it's 5:00, ciao, ciao, see you tomorrow, right? It's more start talking about with the other people within the organization, or coordinated with your clients and the other agencies that are working on the campaigns and so on and so forth to make things right. So omni-channel is it just the keyword, and if there is something that has or can be done via SEO, whether that is all optimization, manual, or LLM driven, as in AI, let's make it. If there is no room for that, don't get it personally, right? Your expertise perhaps is going to be used elsewhere into the company, or you have technical ability that can be just reframed and supportive for anything else. Just think about how can we improve the user experience? How can we read that kind of user experience in numbers? Doing deep diving into what is the information, the insight that we got, transform that kind of insight in viable and vital strategies that can make things easier for the business, not for the SEO. Because if you think about, I've driven 1 million visitors, yeah, great, done. Then what is the bounce rate? Or what is, I don't know, the numbers of conversions, whether micro conversion or micro conversion. So you see, it's just, everything goes back into what I was saying before, collaboration.
I think with that, we can move on to the questions. I think we have a few in the chat.
Yep.
We have a question on the topic of good SEO from Claudio. Should we be doing good SEO or SEO that actually works? Oh, that begs the question of what is the difference between good SEO and SEO that works?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I hope good SEO is also the SEO that really actually works, at least for the long run. It might not be the SEO that gets quick wins, like tomorrow, next week or something, but I think we should not separate what actually works in good SEO.
Yeah, I think also it's a question of moving, like, don't get me wrong, like I use a checklist. Like I've definitely used a checklist for for things that where you're like, I need to make sure that I definitely do this, and this. But like just because you finish the checklist doesn't mean that the SEO is done. And it doesn't mean, and just because you got it from yellow to green doesn't mean that the SEO is done. And I think that like people who are sitting there and think that that good SEO is enough, it's not enough. I think that we have to be thinking holistically about like a digital presence and not just a website. You have to be thinking about your whole digital footprint, and because customers are going to be looking at your whole digital footprint. If I go to book a hotel, if I go to buy a sandwich, like I'm going to be looking at their website. I'll look at their Instagram page. I'm looking at their Google business profile. I'm checking the reviews. I'm going to TripAdvisor. Customers are not just looking at one touch point for your brand. So your SEO should absolutely be great on your website and should be good on your website, but it should also incorporate lots of other elements that pull through lots of touch points. So just because it's green, just because you've done the best practice, does it mean that that's necessarily best for your SEO?
We had someone just ask if you could share your checklist.
We have so I'll shout out. We have an SEO resource center on the Wix Studio Learning Hub, and we have lots of great checklists there. I will drop the link in the chat. Let me see. Let me make sure it works. I'm doing this off of memory, so let me make sure that URL works. Yes, it does. Fantastic.
Okay. And we have somebody else, Rudiger, asking on technical SEO. Does it depend on the size of the site or the page that you're working on? So should a smaller site have another focus than a bigger site? So in your opinion, is there a critical size where tech becomes a priority? Not just the basics, but technical SEO.
Well, I guess that, it doesn't really matter, whether the website is just an e-com that serves 5 million users a month or whatever, or just a smaller website. The technical SEO foundation are going to be always the same, right? So you have to make that as in a kind of a checklist. So Crystal, has shared the kind of links, and it's great. But, again, even the checklists are going to be a good starting point. It's not going to be just a kind of, okay, I've surfaced all the kind of 200 points. That was, my longest checklist and document audit. I do remember back in time when I was working in the UK, we were delivering kind of Word documents with full analysis that they were really 80, 90 pages of a full technical document, well, not documentation, technical recommendation, really deep diving. But it's just a kind of a starting point. It's not like, oh, I've done this, there is nothing or there is everything, job done, finish. It's just the starting point. You go there and then you continue to dive and check for anything else. Huh?
I think we can squeeze in one more question. Let's see.
I answered one about the challenges. Feel free to read about that one. I think, I have, there is one usual question about over here, backlinks and building SEO ranks and all the kind of things. I think this is just a kind of the traditional things. It goes back into what everybody thinks about, links, or even what Google thinks about links. For years, Google have been saying, oh, yeah, well, links, at some point we'll be discharging them. The sad reality is that links are still effective, and we cannot live without them. Crawlers need links to discover pages, resources, no matter what, right? So up and until we will be not having the AI being fully sentient, I think that links will be a key component of what we've been doing into SEO.
Yeah. Everybody talks about backlinks. Everybody loves talking about backlinks, but please, 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 please do not forget your internal links.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Please do not forget your internal links.
That is one of the key and most important aspect that is available to optimize the website. You do it right, you do it, forever, and you make good chances to improve the rankings.
I was working on a project and we increased our traffic by like 4-fold by doing internal links. So manage your internal links, and manage link equity, and get involved with those sorts of things. Absolutely. Don't forget your internal links. And also it affects your crawling or it affects your crawling and your indexing as well. So often people are like, oh, my page is indexed. I'm like, there's one link to this page. How is Google or anybody going to find this page? You're not giving anyone any signals that you even care about this page. So you need to tell people, if you want Google to care, you need to show them that you care about this, and then maybe they will care about it. But if you have one link to that page, it's going to stay like discovered, not indexed, like, and nobody likes that. So you have to manage your internal links. Backlinks are great, but
I really love that.
Yeah.
I just had a client that asked me, why is this page suddenly ranking so well and others that we write are not ranking? And I was just like, the answer is easy. You linked it into your footer.
Yes.
The others are lost in your page.
Yes.
And it was such an easy, and he was like, that's really making a difference. And I'm telling you for a year, it makes a difference.
This is it.
We've got so many amazing questions that have just popped up, but since we're really at the end of our time, I'd just like to close by asking each of you one of the questions that we had earlier. So what, if you could pick one metric for success of your SEO, what metric would you be looking at?
I guess that depends on well, actually, yes. Let's say a Google style. It depends. That is a John Mueller. He would be happy to hear me saying it depends. It depends on where you're working to SEO. For me, technical SEO, good metrics is going to be, hey, I do not have any errors at all popping up into Google Search Console. If I've done that, already I have my KPI suggesting that I've done a good job. But for content things, maybe that is going to be just the amount of traffic they are going to drive in. But the traffic, as we said before, is going to be the tip of the iceberg. Then you want to see how many conversions, so on and so forth. So I believe that there is not one single right KPI or metric that is going to be the correct one. It really depends on the business that you're working for, what they are really carrying on. Surely there will be some generic one, but everything is specific to your circumstances.
What about you, Dani? Would you agree with that? Or do you have a different metric?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of metrics we need to look at. I have one metric I think we SEOs often forget or ignore because it's not just our success that we did, but I really like it when I look at my website. The searches for Dani Leitner or Daniela Leitner are getting more and more every month. And that just shows me I'm doing something correct with going to events, getting to know people. And I really like to look also at the brand searches, if they really get, if your brand gets more visibility. That's something I think we often forget because you can't build the traffic with a content, a new page or anything, but it's also a good indicator how the brand is seen.
What metric would you use, Crystal?
Money. So what makes the business money, and how does what you do tie back to the business making money? If you're working for somebody else, if you're an SEO consultant or an agency or something, and you're servicing a client, what is Lazarina, money? Yes, exactly. So I think that if you're working for them, if they don't make money, then they can't pay you. Right. And you can't do the things. So if you're doing the technical SEO, when you're thinking, you have all of these different points, you'll go through and you go, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. You're thinking about content, you're thinking about branding, you go, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. There's a million things you could do, but which one do you do first? The thing that makes money, right? That's the thing, the thing that's going to make them the most money. And I've done technical SEO audits, and there's we have 404, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes those 404s are on website or pages that nobody's going to see, but they have this thing that's on this page that really, really, really needs doing. Why? Because it makes them money. And so whatever it is that makes the business money, that should be how you prioritize what you do. And if you do that, you'll stay paid, they will stay paid, and everybody's good.
So that is actually going to conclude our session for today. So thank you for your participation, all three of you. This has been a great discussion, and thank you for the entire audience. We've been really active and participating. So that's always great to see. We do have another session coming up, which will be Rejoice Ojiaku on crafting your brand story, a guide to driving e-commerce success. So really, that's something that I would not miss if you work in e-commerce or if you are interested in content. That's coming up. The link is in the chat. Thank you very much, Crystal, Dani, and Andrea, and we'll talk soon.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.